Hello, my name is Susan Blacklin. I am the author of Water Justice, What You Don't Know Could Kill You, and also Water Confidential, Witnessing Justice Denied, about the fight for safe drinking water, predominantly in Indigenous communities, but also in rural communities in Canada. Protecting source waters must be the most important step in providing safe drinking water. First Nations have lived this reality for decades, and they have borne the brunt of the cancers. Today, two things occurred simultaneously. The recording of my submission to the BC Budget Committee became available. Ironically, the physician following me, submitting to the same committee, spoke on rising cancers, especially in children, related to living near LNG and fracking operations. You can listen to both submissions here on YouTube, Water Action Canada. Andrew Cadell referenced my books and point of view in his article in the Hill Times. Andrew is spot on. We cannot take our water for granted. I think most Canadians are aware of that, and probably most elementary school children too. Hopefully, his article will introduce many politicians to the fact. I don't agree that federalism has worked in protecting provincial autonomy, or that it is a barrier to a secure supply of one of the building blocks of life. I see federalism as the excuse but not the reason. Personally, I can't see anything more important or critical than water. It is not just a building block of life. To me, water is life. The only reason we don't have access to safe drinking water here in Canada is lack of political will, most recently due to priority being given to military, seconded by bailing out developers by the man who is the biggest disappointment to climate change, the environment, and the health and well-being of Canadians. There should be a revolution to demand safe drinking water for Indigenous communities and for all Canadians. The real obstacle is what kept and continues to keep First Nations on boil water advisories for decades. No political will hidden behind excuses. In Egan versus National Research Council, a court awarded $2 million in punitive damages because the NRC knew about contamination and stayed silent instead of warning people. That case set a clear rule. If you know about contamination, you must disclose it. I wonder when a court of law will apply this same principle to the politicians ignoring the issues. Following are 10 shameful issues impacting the quality of drinking water in Canada, affecting all Canadians, and reasons we cannot take our water for granted. Number 1. Justin Trudeau boasted about ending boiled water advisories in First Nation communities, even as taxpayers paid millions to renovate his own properties, while at the same time he established the Canadian Water Agency. This is issue number 2. But it was built on one condition. Safe drinking water on reserves is a pre-existing commitment, so not the agency's job. I don't see it as a commitment. I see it as an embarrassment, a shameful embarrassment for Canada. Prevent Cancer Now has shown that pollution exposure, such as PFAS, pass down through generations, and one study found that a single toxic exposure raised cancer risk in lab animals for 20 generations straight, with no end in sight. Issue number 4. Canada has thousands of kilometers of old asbestos cement water pipes, and unlicensed workers remove or maintain them with no protective gear, while abandoned pipes become toxic waste sites left in place. Health Canada denies any link between ingested asbestos fibers and cancer, despite them being regulated in the USA since 1992 due to them being toxic. Canada has no laboratory that can test for asbestos in water, and asbestos isn't even in our national drinking water guidelines, even though up to 5 million Canadians drink water from these pipes. Australia treats the same pipes as toxic waste and removes them through its asbestos eradication agency. Canada treats them as nobody's problem. The National Research Council spent $35 million studying asbestos fibers in pipes, and their research linked those fibers to cancer risk. But the program was shut down and the research was buried, and Health Canada still says there isn't enough evidence of harm, a claim that contradicts the NRC's own research. Issue number 6. 7 people died in Walkerton, and Ontario passed strong water safety laws within years. Why weren't those laws applied in all provinces? Canada has had an asbestos pipe crisis, a pesticide crisis, an ongoing water crisis in Indigenous communities, many of them overlapping, yet none of it has led to national change. Issue number 7. The Carney government just scrapped mandatory pesticide safety reviews, buried in an omnibus budget bill with no debate and no committee review. Meanwhile, one study found 50 pesticides in treated tap water in the heart of Montreal, with some levels higher after treatment than in the source water. Glyphosate, a likely human carcinogen, was the most common pollutant. Canada monitors each pesticide alone instead of addressing the accumulative effect as Europe does, and that lets companies hide the real risk. This while the federal government just cut the last safeguards meant to catch dangerous pesticides before they reach your tap, which is issue number 8. Under the new rules, MPs can approve products Health Canada calls unsafe just for economic reasons. This is the same kind of failure that let 700 pollutants build up in Burrard Inlet over 40 years, and the same kind of failures that got Monsanto criminally charged in the USA for exposing people to banned pesticides. And Health Canada still denies ingested asbestos or glyphosate cause cancer. Every other G7 country has strong, legally enforceable national drinking water regulations. This is issue number 9. Water crosses provincial lines, just like banking, telecom, and air travel, which are all federally regulated. The Carney government used that exact logic recently to fast-track labor law changes. The same logic should be applied to water. The federal government controls Indigenous communities' water directly under the Constitution, yet even with that clear authority, it has allowed decades of boil water advisories, often due to industry polluting source waters. The problem has never been the Constitution. It was and still is due to a lack of political will. To learn more, please visit the YouTube Water Action Canada. There's many videos and more podcasts being posted daily. Until then, please sign the open letter hosted by the National Council of Women of Canada to Prime Minister Carney, asking the government to protect our water, protect our health. Please search NCWC for National Council Women Canada. Search NCWC Open Letter and help us in our endeavours to make safe drinking water a reality for all Canadians. Thank you for listening. I invite you to contact me with any questions, any suggestions. Ideas are always welcome, and I thank you for your support.